When the new Forbes Sports Power list dropped, everything in the WNBA shifted. They did not sneak Caitlin Clark onto an honor roll. They announced her as the most powerful female athlete on the planet, sitting at number 4 on their entire sports power ranking, but listed as the top athlete in the women's game. From that moment, A'ja Wilson started to lose it. This is not about a glossy magazine feature. It is about power, money, and who controls women's basketball in 2025. To understand it, you have to look at the part the old guard never wants to discuss. Caitlin did not have a cute little rookie year. She broke the economic model. On paper, her WNBA salary looks like any other rookie check, somewhere around $60,000 to $70,000. But the second you zoom out, the real figure hits hard. $8.1 million in a single season. That is Forbes doing the calculation. Salary, endorsements, appearance fees. 1 year of basketball turning into serious wealth, and she is still years away from her prime. The engine behind that number is simple. Brands know Caitlin Clark moves people. Nike jumped first, locking her into an 8-year, $28 million contract. Before her first professional tip-off, she had already secured more guaranteed money from a sponsor than many WNBA players will earn in an entire career. Then Gatorade stepped in. This is the same company that built campaigns around LeBron James and Serena Williams. They do not sign athletes out of kindness. They back players who sell product and shift culture. Putting Caitlin in that tier sent a loud signal. In the eyes of global brands, she is not just a good guard. She is the face of the next era of women's basketball. Wilson Sporting Goods turned the volume up again. They did not simply add her to a roster of names. They made her the face of their basketball line, the first athlete to get that role since Michael Jordan. Every time a kid walks into a shop and sees her name on a ball, that is brand power you cannot fake. But the endorsement deals are only half the picture. Whenever Clark steps onto a WNBA floor, the numbers explode. TV ratings spike. Games that once pulled a few 100,000 viewers suddenly push past 1 million. Arenas that used to be half empty fill up. Local bars, restaurants, car parks, and merch stands all feel the surge. Cities hosting her games see game day bumps. Caitlin is not just stuffing a box score. She is moving money through communities. So when Forbes uses the phrase most powerful, that is what they are adding up. Earnings, influence, eyeballs, economic impact on and off the court. This is where the story gets messy. Because A'ja Wilson did not take that reality well. No one is taking away from A'ja's greatness. Multiple championships, MVP awards, a Hall of Fame resume. She has done everything a player can do between the lines. But power in 2025 is no longer just about trophies. It is about attention and how many people stop what they are doing when your name flashes on the screen. The first cracks showed up the moment Caitlin's Nike deal hit social media. While fans were celebrating a win for women's basketball, A'ja's posts quietly shifted. Suddenly, there was more talk about paying dues, more posts about real impact and sustained excellence. On their own, those captions looked harmless. Matched against the timeline, they feel like something different. Then the shoe conversation took over. Right as Caitlin's brand exploded, A'ja began pushing her signature shoe content harder than ever. Constant reminders, throwback clips, close-ups. It stopped feeling like normal promotion and started looking like a veteran trying to prove she still deserved to be treated as the face of the league. When Time magazine named Caitlin Athlete of the Year, A'ja's congratulations technically showed up. A short post, a quick story. But the emotion was nothing like the long, heartfelt messages she writes for other players. Fans caught it instantly. It read cold, it read forced. And then Forbes dropped the hammer. Caitlin crowned as the most powerful female athlete. A'ja pushed down to number 15. Everything that had been simmering beneath the surface boiled over. Instead of saying, "This is good for all of us," A'ja leaned harder into the same talking points. More shade at hype, more quotes about how real greatness takes time. More effort poured into steering the conversation than celebrating the fact that someone finally blew the roof off what any of them can earn. That is not competitive fire. That is ego. And here is the part of the truth the league does not like to say out loud. No single player gets to choose who the face of the sport is. The audience decides. The numbers decide. The brands decide. When millions of new fans show up for one player, when TV networks rip up their schedules to feature her, when sponsors throw millions behind her name, that is not opinion. That is reality. Caitlin Clark did not take anything away from A'ja Wilson. She opened a level of attention and money women's basketball has never touched before. Everyone in the WNBA benefits from that. Bigger TV deals, higher contract ceilings, more kids paying attention, more respect from the sports world. If veterans choose jealousy over growth, they are only damaging themselves. So when you hear about A'ja Wilson losing it over Caitlin being crowned #1, look at what is really happening. This is not a fight over a ranking. It is a test of who is willing to step into the future and who is terrified of being left behind by it.
Again, it's interesting. No A'ja Wilson, no Angel Reese. Everybody leads you to believe that it's always Angel. Nah, they just told you the next one up is Sabrina Ionescu. That actually does not surprise me for some reason. I don't know why.
A'ja Wilson just got fired from Team USA. At least that's what it feels like. There was no press conference, no statement, no farewell tour for the face of the last Olympic team. Instead, USA Basketball quietly dropped a December training camp roster.
Basketball soon. I mean, I don't know how much access we'll actually have to this, but Team USA announced the official invites for the training camp they'll be having in December, and Caitlin Clark amongst them, as is her teammate Aaliyah Boston. So those teammates get to team up for Team USA, which makes a lot of sense. And I've said for a while, I think that the next version of the USA Olympic team could be a bit of a dream team, given you'll have the players that came up in this explosive era of basketball, along with the remaining veterans who are still in their prime, and it will be this recognizable roster, of course, headlined by Caitlin Clark, who rather famously didn't make the team in 2024.
Caitlin Clark's name was on it. A'ja Wilson's name was not. And when that list hit the internet, fans didn't need a press release. They looked at Caitlin walking into camp, A'ja stuck at home, and said the two words on your thumbnail: "You're fired." Because this isn't just any camp. This is where the blueprint for the 2026 World Cup and the 2028 Los Angeles Olympics is being drawn.
When it is, we are going to see Caitlin Clark back on a basketball court with other participants. This is going to be rather interesting because we are going to see Caitlin Clark, Angel Reese, and Paige Bueckers all playing together. Now, we talked about the fact that Team USA, I believe it is in March, is going to play, I believe, in some qualifiers. That's probably when we're going to get to see Caitlin Clark play actual meaningful basketball again. But training camp is coming. The senior camp is coming. And it's coming in like 2 weeks. Caitlin Clark, Paige Bueckers, Angel Reese, and Juju Watkins.
And Caitlin Clark is in the building while A'ja Wilson is watching from the sidelines. So how did we get here? For years, A'ja was sold as the safe face of women's basketball. Champion, MVP, defensive monster. Team USA gold medals. If there was one player who should have been untouchable, it was her. But somewhere along the way, the game picked somebody else. Caitlin Clark didn't just show up and hit logo threes. She broke every record you can think of. She sold out arenas that had never even cared about women's basketball. She made TV networks rewrite their schedules and advertisers rewrite their budgets. And brands followed. Nike, State Farm. Every major sponsor looking for a global face didn't hesitate. They didn't say, "Let's build around the old guard." They said, "We want Caitlin Clark." That shift put A'ja in a spot she had never been in before. She went from the one everyone chased to the one chasing. Every time Caitlin did something historic, there was a new quote, a new comment, a new actually from the old guard. Talking about how other players should have been there first, how the attention was interesting, how the hype wasn't matching the real pecking order. On paper, it sounded like normal competitive talk. But to fans, it looked like something else, jealousy. Because here's what regular people saw. Caitlin's ratings were real. Her sellouts were real. Her shoe sales were real. Her impact on little kids wearing 22 in every gym in America was real. So when Asia and others tried to downplay it, fans said, "That's not honest. That's not reality. You're just mad the spotlight moved." And USA Basketball was watching all of this play out in real time. Remember, Team USA is not just picking the best hoopers. They're picking a product, a story, a group of 12 faces that will represent the country on every poster, every commercial, every highlight reel for the next 4 years. So when the new camp roster dropped, it told you everything. Caitlin Clark, Paige Buchers, Angel Reese, Juju Watkins, Aaliyah Boston.
Caitlin Clark, Paige Buchers to make USA senior camp debuts. Caitlin Clark, Paige Buchers, Angel Reese, and Juju Watkins will be among the 10 players making their USA Basketball senior national team camp debuts next month, when the storied basketball program hosts a training camp at Duke University from December 12th to December 14th. Why is it at Duke University? Well, the head coach, Kara Lawson, is the head coach of the Duke Blue Devils as well.
A wave of young stars whose games fit perfectly around a high pace, high spacing guard who can run the entire floor like a video game. And no Asia Wilson. Officially, no one said, "We are done with her." They don't have to. Leaving your name off that list at the exact moment Caitlin Clark is being brought in sends a louder message than any quote ever could. Because this camp isn't just about drills and scrimmages, it's a chemistry test. What does Team USA look like when Caitlin is the one pushing the pace? What happens when the system is built for her eyes, her passing, and her shooting range? Which bigs fit around that? Which wings can keep up? And more importantly, who becomes expendable in that world? For years, the formula was simple. Start with Asia. Build around Asia. Everyone else can fight for the remaining minutes. Now, the formula looks different. Start with Caitlin. Who makes her better? Who makes the floor wider? Who turns her passes into easy buckets and her gravity into open shots? That is why people are calling this a firing. Not because Asia will never wear USA across her chest again, but because for the first time, the national team made a huge decision without her and did it around Caitlin Clark instead. And here's the craziest part. Asia did not lose this spot because she suddenly got bad at basketball. Her numbers are still insane. Her defense is still elite. On talent alone, she absolutely belongs in the conversation. But this is not just about talent anymore. It's about who grows the game, who brings sponsors, who gets casual fans to tune in at 3 a.m. for a game in Germany, who parents will let their kids stay up late to watch. Right now, fair or not, that answer is Caitlin Clark. So when you put all of this together, the jealousy, the public shots, the refusal to fully embrace the new face of the sport, and then you look at this Team USA camp where Caitlin Clark walks through the front door and Asia Wilson's name isn't even on the list. It feels less like a coincidence and more like a verdict. Team USA didn't tweet, "You're fired." They just moved on. Now the question is simple. Did they make the right call? Should Team USA build the next era around Caitlin Clark, even if it means leaving legends like Asia on the outside? Or is this an overreaction to hype that will eventually cool off? Let me know whose side you're on in the comments. And if you're still watching, drop Team Clark USA down below so I know you made it to the end.
So today, lads, we are going to be talking about this article. It's like the most powerful women in sports, America's most powerful women in sports. But if you guys don't know, Caitlin Clark is listed at number 4 here. I'm glad they said America, because a lot of the time you see like these lists just being American people.
Forbes just changed everything. They did not put Caitlin Clark on a cute little list. They crowned her the most powerful female athlete on planet Earth. Number 4 on their entire sports power ranking, but the top-ranked athlete.
Let's talk about Caitlin Clark flexing her muscles when it comes to being one of the most powerful women in all of sports. And I think this is an interesting list that Forbes put out. There are 2 WNBA players on here. By the way, for all the unrivaled, it's not a conflict of interest, folks.
And that is when A'ja Wilson started to lose it. This is not just about a magazine list. This is about money, power, and who really runs women's sports in 2025. By the end of this video, you will understand why Caitlin was crowned number 1 and why A'ja's reaction might be a huge mistake. Let's start with the part the old guard does not want to talk about. Caitlin did not just have a good rookie season. She broke the system. On paper, her WNBA salary looks like any other rookie, around $60,000 to $70,000. But once you zoom out, the real number hits you in the face.
But if you guys don't know, Caitlin Clark is listed at number 4 here. And the reason why I'm telling you guys Caitlin Clark, it says here, her estimate 8.1 million income for a rookie season. She probably made double that. And that might be conservative. Saying she made double that might actually be conservative.
$8.1 million in a single year. That is Forbes running the math. Salary, endorsements, appearance fees. One season of basketball turned into new wealth, and that is before she even hits her prime. The engine behind that number is simple. Brands know she moves people. Nike locked her into an 8-year, $28 million deal. Before her first pro tip-off, she had already secured more guaranteed money from one brand than many players will see in an entire career.
And by the way, as we look at this list, brand president Nike, CEO of FanDuel, and of course Gail Benson, who we just talked about. This is showing you what I have been saying. It confirms what I have been saying. Caitlin Clark is the most powerful woman in not just basketball, but women's sports, all of women's sports.
Then Gatorade stepped in. This is the same company that built campaigns around LeBron James and Serena Williams. They do not hand out deals to be nice. They invest in athletes who can move product and shift culture. Putting Caitlin in that tier sent a clear message. In the eyes of global brands, she is not just another good player. She is the face of the next era. Wilson Sporting Goods made it even louder. They did not just sign her. They made her the face of their basketball line, the first athlete to get that treatment since Michael Jordan. Every time a kid walks into a store and sees her name on a ball, that is brand power you cannot fake. But the endorsements are only half the story. Whenever Clark plays, numbers explode. TV ratings jump. Games that would have drawn a few 100,000 viewers suddenly clear over 1 million. Arenas that used to be half empty are sold out. And it is not just the league making money. Local bars, restaurants, car parks, merch stands, all feel it. Cities hosting her games see spikes on game day. Caitlin is not just filling a box score, she is moving cash across communities. So when Forbes says most powerful, that is what they are measuring. Earnings, influence, eyeballs, economic impact. Now here is where the story gets messy, because A'ja Wilson did not take that news well. Nobody is denying A'ja's greatness. Multiple championships, MVPs, a Hall of Fame legacy. She has done everything you can do on the court. But power in 2025 is not just trophies. It is attention. It is how many people stop what they are doing when your name shows up on screen. And that is where the gap between these two players is massive. The cracks started to show as soon as Caitlin's Nike deal hit the internet. While fans were celebrating this win for women's basketball, Asia's posts suddenly shifted. More talk about paying dues, more reminders about real impact and sustained excellence. On the surface, it looked harmless. Lined up with the timeline, it looks like something else. Then came the shoe talk. Right as Caitlin's brand exploded, Asia started pushing content about her own signature shoe harder than ever. Constant reminders, throwbacks, close-ups. It felt less like normal promotion and more like a veteran trying to prove she still deserved to be treated as the face of the league. When Time magazine named Caitlin Athlete of the Year, the pattern continued. Asia's congratulations was technically there. A short post, a quick story, but the energy was nothing like the long, emotional messages she gives to other players. Fans noticed it. It felt cold. It felt forced. And then Forbes dropped the hammer. Caitlin crowned the most powerful female athlete. Asia pushed down to number 15. Everything that had been simmering in the background boiled over. Instead of saying, "This is good for all of us," Asia doubled down on the same talking points. More shade about hype. More quotes about how real greatness takes time. More energy spent on controlling the narrative than celebrating the fact that someone finally blew the ceiling off what any of them can earn. That is not competitive fire. That is ego. And here is the truth the league does not want to say out loud. You do not get to decide who the face of the sport is. The audience does. The numbers do. The brands do. When millions of new fans show up for one player, when networks change their schedules around her, when sponsors pour millions behind her, that is not an opinion. That is reality. Caitlin Clark did not steal anything from A'ja Wilson. She unlocked a level of attention and money women's basketball has never seen. Everyone in the league benefits from that. Bigger TV deals, higher contract ceilings, more kids watching, more respect from other sports. If veterans choose jealousy over growth, they are only hurting themselves. So when you hear about A'ja Wilson losing it over Caitlin being crowned number 1, understand what is really going on. This is not about a list. It is about who is ready to embrace the future and who is terrified of being left behind by it. Caitlin is not just the number 1 female athlete on a Forbes ranking. She is the test of whether women's basketball can finally get out of its own way. If you are still watching, drop Team Clark in the comments so I know you made it to the end.
Caitlin Clark and her decision, I not only respect it, but I wholeheartedly support it. You know, a lot of people say that Caitlin Clark moves the needle. That is wrong. She is the needle.
Caitlin Clark might be ready to walk away from the WNBA. Right now, there is a number floating around in private calls and boardrooms. $150 million, not in fake social media money, in real cash, equity, and power.
If Caitlin would start her own league with you, I'd give her $100 million and I have as many billionaires as you needed to start a league.
If Caitlin did her own league, do you know what you would want to see her do?
She'd have people lining up, including myself, and she would put the WNBA out of business. I really do believe that.
It is being tied to one idea. Give Caitlin Clark a way to escape the league that underpaid her, failed to protect her, and then expected her to smile and carry the whole thing on her back.
Well, I think I did this same video last year, and now we have the 2025 version of the highest paid female athletes of 2025. Now, for the sake of this channel, we're going to obviously focus on Caitlin Clark. By the way, of the top 15 female athletes that made the list, Caitlin Clark was the only WNBA athlete that landed on the list.
The WNBA thought they owned Caitlin. They thought a rookie salary of about $76,000 would be enough, even while she broke every ratings record they had. But while they were letting veterans take cheap shots at their golden goose, a new league was building something very different in the shadows. It is called Unrivaled. On the surface, it looks like another women's basketball project. But if you listen to what is being said behind the scenes, Unrivaled is not just a league. It is an exit plan for every star who is tired of asking for respect instead of being given it. Here is what makes this offer so deadly for the WNBA. Unrivaled is talking about money in a different language, not a small raise on a 4-year WNBA deal. They are talking about a reported $150 million package built on 3 pillars. A real salary that matches her drawing power, equity in the league itself, and long-term control over her own image and marketing. That is not just a contract. That is a key to the front door. Think about what Caitlin lived through in her rookie year. She packed arenas in every city. She pushed TV numbers into Super Bowl territory for a regular season women's game.
Caitlin Clark is the cash cow. She is box office. When she plays, the ratings go up, revenue goes up, interest goes up. When she doesn't play, it plummets. 36% drop in the ratings for All-Star Weekend for the WNBA a few weeks ago. Last year, she didn't miss a game. This year, she missed 17 games. This is a person that everything she touches with women's basketball turns to gold. They didn't have chartered jets until she arrived. She arrived, they had chartered jets 2 weeks later.
Families who had never watched a WNBA match before were suddenly planning road trips around her schedule. Yet on the court, she was treated like a target, not a treasure. Hard fouls, cheap shots away from the ball. The league office watched all of this and did almost nothing. Now put yourself in Caitlin's shoes. On one side, you have the WNBA, low wages at the start, questionable protection, old guard politics. On the other side, you have a brand new league saying, we will pay you like the global star you already are, and we will give you a piece of the empire you help us build. That is not greed. That is self-respect. This is why people are calling it the LIV golf moment for women's basketball. The PGA Tour thought tradition and loyalty would be enough to keep golfers at home. It was not. When life-changing money arrived, players left. You get one career, you get one body, you get one shot at generational wealth for your family. Caitlin is 22. She already carries an entire sport every time she steps on a court. And the system around her has sent a very clear message. We want your ratings. We want your ticket sales. We want your jersey numbers. We do not want you to change how power works in our rooms.
You see her at this event. You see the kind of noise that this is making. You see that this is trending on social media. You see that SportsCenter, Bleacher Report, all of these places, every media outlet is covering this, and you don't say anything. That's what we were talking about this whole season. We were correct. The fans that were saying that the WNBA seems to be trying to quiet the noise of Caitlin Clark, not letting her shine to her full ability, and not, in turn, not helping your own players in the league, we were right. And this event proved it because the LPGA did literally everything correct.
You can see it in more than just the WNBA season. Look at the Team USA drama. When a legend like Cheryl Miller says out loud that certain people never wanted Caitlin on that roster, she is not talking about talent. She is talking about fear. Fear that a young star will outshine the veterans. Fear that sponsors and cameras will follow her first. Fear that the old hierarchy will crumble if she is allowed to sit at the main table.
I'm going to be honest because it needs to be said. I can relate to that young lady, and I felt for her. Mm-hmm. I know what it's like to be hated. Mm. I know what it's like to be a black woman and hated because of my color. Yeah. I can't imagine this young lady, I don't want to use hate, but despised. Mm-hmm. And people just having, she brought some on herself a little bit because she's cocky for a good reason.
Mm-hmm. Confident.
And I love that about her. But to watch the dynamics and the media, they had their narrative. Mm-hmm. And I was pleased and proud to see the narrative wasn't the truth.
Right.
So now imagine this. It is 2026. Caitlin Clark looks at that fear and walks anyway. She signs the unrivaled deal, 150 million reasons to stop begging for respect and start owning it. What happens next? The WNBA schedule comes out and something feels off. The Indiana Fever are just another team again. TV partners who paid for Caitlin are suddenly on the phone asking for discounts. National games move off prime time. Arena crowds shrink. Those sold-out buildings from her rookie year slide back into the lower bowl patches we all remember. Meanwhile, Unrivaled tips off. Game 1 is a sellout. Cameras are everywhere. Every highlight package has Caitlin at the center. Other stars follow. Angel Reese wants in. Future pros from college see where the real money and flexibility live and circle Unrivaled dates, not WNBA draft night. Sponsors move their budgets like water following gravity. The league that thought it owned Caitlin now realizes the truth. She was never theirs. She belonged to the fans who followed her from Iowa to the pros. She belonged to the brands that saw her as more than a role player in someone else's storyline. She belonged to herself. Here is the hard part for the WNBA. None of this had to happen. They had the most important player in women's basketball history land in their lap. They could have protected her. They could have built every marketing push around her. They could have fixed the pay structure before a rival league forced their hand. Instead, they chose pride. They chose politics. They chose to believe she had nowhere else to go. Now, there might be a $150 million escape plan sitting on the table. So I want to ask you the only question that really matters. If you were Caitlin Clark, would you stay loyal to the league that underpaid you and refused to shield you? Or would you take the deal and walk into a future you control? Drop your answer in the comments. And if you are still watching right now, type escape plan so I know you made it all the way to the end.